The early 90s was quite a time for dinosaur films. After the success of a certain popular title that has since spawned a massive franchise, many people have tried capitalizing off of said success with their own movies that featured prehistoric creatures. And while that may sound amazing for dinosaur fans, most of them were unfortunately more misses than hits for the time. But now they do have a level of popularity amongst the dinosaur community, serving more as a meme to laugh at than anything. But some of these movies fell almost completely into obscurity, which is ironic seeing how the whole point of these movies were to become known through the shadows of a more popular title. But today's topic is a bit different, because while it's certainly no masterpiece, this movie was much more well received than something like Carnosaurs or Dinosaurs from the Deep. Today's movie is a Korean film made in 1994 that goes by the name of Tirano's Claw. This movie goes by many names, with Tirano's Claw being what I assume is the English translation of the original title, although sometimes this movie does go by Dinosaurs vs. the Cavemen, and then it goes by its original title sometimes, but I'm gonna stick to calling it Tirano's Claw. When I attempted to look into this movie, I wasn't able to find much on it. At one point, I thought this was an example of a lost dinosaur movie, and that does kind of seem to be the case, as some sources say that this movie was more of a piece of lost media at some point, as it was really hard to get a copy of this film. One site even explains how there's a copy of Tirano's Claw selling on Amazon, but it was a low quality bootleg. Yeah, this doesn't look shady at all. At some point around the mid-2010s, it seems that this movie would resurface through a YouTube upload that features the whole thing. Although I can't say for sure this was the reason why the movie would regain its small level of notoriety, if you can even call it that since it's still very much obscure to this day. But at this point, due to the lack of information on it, it's impossible to say where or how this movie would resurface after it was considered lost by the few that managed to see it. What I do know is that the movie was directed by Shim Hyung-rae, a South Korean ex-comedian and filmmaker who's made several other movies between the years of 1982 and 2010. During this period, he would be on both ends of the camera, both directing and acting in his films and other projects. Some of these works include Yongari, Dragon Tuka, and holy shit, Dragon Wars? This was my shit growing up. Dragon Wars was one of those childhood movies that you remember fondly as you get older, but one day question if it was even a real movie or if it was just a fever dream. This movie may get a video all on its own one day if I ever decide to explore media outside of those containing just dinosaurs, but if you're into big monster movies and have an afternoon to kill, I'd suggest checking out Dragon Wars. Anyways, while Hyung-rae has a variety of movies that he's directed that seems to span throughout different genres, he does seem to be interested in the science fiction creature feature genre, given some of his works are well within this area, both before and after Tirano's Claw. So it's possible that after Jurassic Park was released, he was inspired by that film enough to expand his interest to dinosaurs, which would eventually lead to the creation of Tirano's Claw. But this is just speculation. Again, there's not much information on this film, so I have no idea whether or not it really played out like this. It could be possible that this was just supposed to be a cheaply made movie to cash in on the success of Jurassic Park, but after looking at several reviews on it and watching the movie myself, I can conclude that it certainly feels more than just that. It's hard to say what the overall review of this movie was when it was first released, but judging from a lot of reviews given today, it seems that people are well aware of the movie's poor qualities, low budget, and even it being most likely a cash-in on Jurassic Park. Yet these people still hold it in high regards for the things it does right. Some people praised it for being a strange, unique film that's nonetheless entertaining to watch despite its low budget. Others loved it for the effects it had, since most of the dinosaurs featured within this movie were massive rubber suits that people had to wear, which in itself offered a lot of entertainment because of how unintentionally hilarious it looked sometimes. Others call it a guilty pleasure film that could probably only be enjoyed by dinosaur or kaiju fans, which after watching the movie myself, I think I can agree with. There's just a lot of aspects to this film that I feel like only people who are familiar with how these kinds of dinosaur and or kaiju movies are structured and work can truly appreciate. Anyone else would probably just be confused or would be quick to call this movie a piece of garbage without seeing the uniqueness to it. To give you a better idea of this, it would just be easier to show you the movie. So without further ado, let's take a look at Tirano's Claw. In multiple sources, the movie is described as such. During the age of worship of dinosaurs, friendship between dinosaurs and humans and life and death fights are greatly displayed. This is pretty ironic since the movie is actually considered to be a family film from Korea, yet there are a few pretty brutal scenes throughout. But in terms of the description, it's simply just a general outline of what this movie actually is. The main story within the movie revolves around a caveman and a cave woman who are on the run from the rest of their tribe after they refuse to go through a sacrificial ritual that involves Tirano, the name of the T-Rex the tribe seems to worship. In the beginning of the movie, it's shown how these rituals usually play out, with the caveman carrying an unconscious man outside of a dark cave, where they tie him up and begin to chant out, summoning Tirano, and when he emerges from the cave, he devours the tied up man. Given from the description of the movie, people are fed to this dinosaur because it seems the rest of the tribe see it as some sort of god or greater authority that they must please. How people are specifically chosen for these sacrifices are decided by the tribe leader, a strong tyrant that serves as the antagonist of the movie. And this is shown through how he treats his people. He does shitty things like make them fight over food and throws things at them for his own enjoyment. One cave woman, who serves as one of our main characters, gets real tired of this mistreatment and lashes out at the tribe leader, to which he responds by making her the next sacrifice for Tirano. He sends out his second-hand man and the rest of the tribe to take the cave woman and perform the ritual. But our main male character, a random caveman within the tribe that seems to have taken a liking to this cave woman, comes to her rescue and prevents the ritual from happening by freeing her before getting eaten. Of course, this angers the tribe leader and he sends the rest of his people after the main caveman and woman. Also, now's a good time to mention that this movie has no dialogue at all, just grunts and yelling, so no one here has a real name that's understandable to the audience. Anyways, for the next half an hour, we follow our main characters as they try to run away from the rest of the tribe, and in that time we get a lot of sequences with the real stars of the show, the dinosaurs. Some of these sequences are supposed to be more wacky and funny, like the Pachycephalosaurus one, where the caveman tribe literally have a headbutting match with it. Oh yeah, and it also makes this creepy ass sound. Along with that, we also get another scene with the T-Rex at night, trying to hunt down our main characters, but then gets distracted by a goat of all things. A T-Rex eating a goat. This scenario seems so familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh well, maybe it's just my mind messing with me. Anyways, we also get a scene featuring a massive cave rat attacking our two main characters, which is easily the ugliest thing in this movie. And finally, the caveman and woman run into a trio of a more primitive species of cavemen. These cavemen happen to also be cannibalistic, and when they find the main characters, they try to hunt them down, and the two get separated as this happens. And on top of all of this, the tribe finally catches up to them, chases the cannibals away, and kidnaps the cave woman to take her back to the tribe leader. When the main character finds out about this, he attempts to track them down, but runs into a man being attacked by a pteranodon. The caveman scares it off and saves the man from drowning, who ends up being a more advanced and intelligent caveman due to his knowledge of long-range hunting with a bow and arrow. After saving the archer, the caveman continues on his journey but runs into the cannibals again, and as they're about to kill him, the archer returns the favor and gets a double kill on the cannibals and saves the caveman. He then takes him back to his own home where we learn that he has a family and managed to domesticate a full-grown triceratops and her young. The archer takes in the caveman until he is well enough to get back on his feet. Until then, the caveman learns the archer's advanced way of life. During all of this, one of the things he learns is how the archer hunts with his bow and arrow. While this is happening, the cave woman is returned to the tribe leader, but he doesn't seem too happy that they only brought him back the one. So the tribe leader sets off with the tribe to hunt down the caveman. Back with the caveman and the archer, one of the archer's kids gets taken by a pteranodon, so they set off to get her back, while the archer's son and partner stay behind. Unfortunately, this would prove to be a horrible mistake, because right as this happens, the tribe and their leader show up and attack the archer's wife and son and even kill them. They knock them unconscious and place their bodies in their hut, to which they then burn down. Then the Triceratops breaks out of its containment and attacks the tribe, but they manage to take it down by spearing it. The tribe leader delivers the final blow to the Triceratops mother by smashing its head in with a large rock. And if this wasn't sad enough, here's the reaction of the baby Triceratops after witnessing its mother being killed. Does that make you sad? It sure made me sad. Back with the archer and the caveman, they manage to kill the Pteranodon and its offspring and rescue the archer's daughter. When they return, however, they discover the wreckage and death. While the archer and his daughter mourn for their loss, the caveman figures out that his former tribe was behind all of this. this. As for the tribe, for some reason they return back to their home, even though the whole point of going back out there was to retrieve the main character. They're then attacked by Tirano, who I'm guessing is angry due to the lack of sacrifices being made to him. The scene ends very abruptly, and I'm gonna pause it here just for a second to tell you guys that this version of the movie has some of these cuts in it that may cut out crucial parts of the film. Apparently the movie in total is about an hour and 32 minutes long, but this version is 1 hour and 26 minutes long. That may not sound like a lot of time, but it's enough for crucial aspects of the film to be established, and without it, we don't really have the context for what's going on. Luckily in this case though, we could kinda just piece together what's happening, but I figured I'd still mention it. So right after the Tirano attack, we cut to our main character running back to the tribe, armed with the archer's bow and arrow, ready for a fight. Then we randomly cut to the cave woman being beaten and hurt by the tribe. I guess the tribe leader sent his right-hand man and a few others to go finish the job and kill the cave woman. But our main character comes in and prevents that by shooting the right-hand man with an arrow, putting him down for good. He takes the woman and they make their escape again, but this time our main character decides to go back to the tribe's home to fight off the tribe leader. Once he establishes his presence that night during a ritual, the tribe chases him to a more open area, where our final battle between our main character and the tribe leader takes place. After trying to fight him off with his bare fist doesn't work, our main character finally puts down the leader with 2 arrow shots to his chest. After finally defeating one tyrant, our main character decides that he's ready to kill off another. He takes a torch and leads the rest of the tribe to Tirano's cave, where they burn the dinosaur alive. They succeed in killing the dinosaur and celebrate with a feast of what I'm assuming to be cooked T-Rex flesh. All seems good until it's revealed that Tirano wasn't the only T-Rex ruling the area. Out of nowhere, a second Tyrannosaur comes in and wreaks havoc, until our main character leads it towards a cliff where he throws a torch in the Rex's mouth, causing it to lose its footing and fall down the cliff. After their third victory that night, the tribe continues their celebration, and the movie ends with the camera slowly zooming into the Tyrannosaur's face, with its eyes subtly opening, indicating that it's still very much alive. And that was Tirano's Claw. Once again, a very strange addition to dinosaur cinema, but in my opinion, a unique one at that. Many people may see this film as obscure and strange here in the States, but seeing how well known Shim Hyung-rae is in his respective country, I wouldn't be surprised if this movie had more of a following over there than over here. Of course, he contributed to the movie industry in more ways than just acting and directing. On top of that, he's also worked on movies as a screenwriter, developer, producer, and executive producer in almost 100 different projects. Outside of movies, he's considered to be one of the most popular comedians on Korean television, and has even garnered the title as one of Asia's most influential leaders of computer science of the 21st century by the Asia Week magazine. Call this movie whatever you want, but I always like to see people of talent put their efforts in a dinosaur-related project to see what they could come up with. Yeah, it may not always be perfect, but it's always neat to see the kind of depictions and ideas we can get from other people's minds. That being said, this movie didn't come out of the mind of some random person either. Like I mentioned before, it seems that Hyung-rae has an interest in the science fiction genre, and this is not only evident through the movies he's made, but according to an IMDb biography, it states, "For the advances he has made in science fiction filmmaking, the government of Korea recognized Shim as one of the most vital Korean thinkers of our time." Which should show you just how much of an influence he's been to this area of Korean filmmaking, literally to the point where the government of Korea has acknowledged his talents. And if you ask me, this movie was definitely a fun one to watch. Even though it's not the most serious dinosaur movie and it's more on the corny side since it is supposed to be a family film, I can still say it's more watchable than some of the dinosaur related family films we have over here.